She's got a van. Brilliant.
Yes, so
What I thought we'd look at this week is just I saw a little video from Guide Dogs, and it's about puppy raising, which obviously you all know about and everything. And it's basically a promo video for showing, to try and get more puppy raisers, essentially. And it's from Guide Dogs UK, and the house is really posh, and they've obviously chosen them for that reason, which makes me laugh. But I thought we'd look through it because there's a few things in it that when you watch the video, you kind of think, oh, that's great and amazing. And then actually there's a few things that we do differently. And so I just thought I would address what happens, if you see what I mean. So if we have a little look, let's see if I can work out how the bloody hell to do this again now. Oh, do you know? Include sound, yes. Windows, yes. Where is it? Oh, if this works, it'll be a bloody miracle today. Can you see that?
Yes.
yes.
Awesome.
If we look out the window,
It's like this
Oh,
little
hang on,
ball
I'll go
of
back
fluff.
to the beginning.
Guide dogs.
if we look out the window,
It's like this little ball of fluff coming up the driveway. Puppy day is the best day.
we've been volunteering for Guide Dogs for just over 3 years now. This is Elizabeth, and she's our second puppy. Our first puppy was a golden retriever called Nellie.
We're puppy raisers. It involves taking Elizabeth out, getting her used to social situations, different environments. So she comes shopping with us, we'll take her on buses, get her used to trains, getting her ready so that she can go into advanced training. So when we first get a puppy and bring a puppy home, it's mostly just getting them settled, getting them used to the home environment, getting the cats used to the puppy being around. We basically spend pretty much all the time with them. When they're sleeping, we'll put them in their crate so they get used to where they're going to be sleeping.
When we take Elizabeth into town or into a supermarket, she would wear her puppy coat with the Guide Dog sign on it, and she would also wear a flash on her lead to show she's a guide dog in training.
Elizabeth's favourite thing to do is to free run, so letting her off the lead and letting her interact with other dogs, and it's good for training because it means we can get her to recall and stuff with distractions, which she's really good at. So we've been teaching Elizabeth the bucket game, which basically involves a little bucket with lots of kibble and treats in, and each time she looks at the bucket we'll give her a treat. This is to help with cooperative care, so that eventually when she does go to the vet, she'll hopefully be settled in that environment with them being able to do an examination on her with her being comfortable and happy. I'm a nurse, so I work a few days a week, working shifts, nights, weekends, occasional day shifts.
And I'm a sales manager, so I work from home, so it's perfect for Elizabeth or any puppy that we have. It's difficult sometimes if Kirsty might be away on a long shift, but it is only a couple of days a week, but there's always someone at home with Elizabeth.
The most important thing is that you're not leaving your puppy for long periods of time, so up to 3 hours is fine. So before we get our puppy from Guide Dogs, we try and puppy-proof our home. So little things, putting a stair gate on the bottom of the stairs, getting a toileting area ready for them. So Jo, our puppy development advisor, might come round if we're worried or concerned about anything, and she'll help us to overcome anything that we're worried about. Or
She's brilliant, isn't she? She makes us feel at ease every single time. With the puppy, and always knows exactly what to do, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Saying goodbye is, without doubt, the hardest part of puppy raising. We almost train our brains. We know from the day one that we get them that we're doing a good job, and she'll go on to be a life changer for somebody, won't she?
Yeah, it's sad because they do become part of your life, but you know that they're going on to do a good thing, and that's why we do it.
So it definitely makes it worthwhile.
And then you get another puppy, and then it makes you feel a little bit better. I think the best thing about being a puppy raiser is knowing that you're helping to change someone's life, and that the dog that you're raising is going to do something amazing for someone.
The fact that they're life-changing for somebody means everything to us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You really do love them, don't you?
Yeah. And you take them everywhere. They literally are with you pretty much all the time.
Which is great, which is why we want to do it as well, isn't it?
They do
So
become
for
a
us.
massive part of your life. So
From once they finish their full-time training, is they become a guide dog, and that really is our probably most proud moment. And we get a little picture sent through to us with her in her harness. Unbelievably proud, really, aren't we?
I feel so proud. It's nice to know that we've done something that's helping someone, and she's changing someone's life, and it makes me emotional.
I think everyone should do it.
It's probably one of the best things we've done.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend puppy raising.
Oh, absolutely. No, puppy raising is definitely the best thing we've done, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so rewarding. It is challenging at times, but there's so much support around. So, yeah, definitely do it.
Guide dogs.
Hey. Well, there's so much support around, but yours is in England. So sorry about that. Oh,
Say
hold
goodbye to
on.
old costly cable
Good
TV
Lord.
once and for all. This revolutionary invention gives you access to your favorite channels and
Why
movies.
is my keyboard not working? Okay. So I wanted to go through, but now I've lost the bloody thing. I wanted to go through the video, but maybe we'll just do it a different way. Here we go. So I just talk through it. So at the beginning of the video, one of the things that you see is them walking through the shops and doing all that kind of thing. What I really noticed about them walking is that the dog, wherever they went, the dog was on a really loose lead, and obviously that's something that we ask right from the beginning. So it was kind of to say, does anybody have any issues with teaching walking on a loose lead? Is their puppy still pulling? Is there any of that going on, or are we okay? Like, is everybody clear on teaching loose lead walking at this point? Yeah. Good. Okay. Christina, how did it go with you seeing that? Because you've done Seeing Eye Dogs, which is similar, and also you've done Assistance Dogs Australia. Would you agree with everything that they said on there as well?
Yes, I think so.
Is there anything fundamentally different?
No, I didn't notice anything different.
Yeah.
They didn't show a lot though of the very early puppy raising. I mean, that dog was obviously fairly close to being.
Yeah, so I'd say that dog was already about 7 or 8 months old, if not a year old already.
Yeah.
So they've obviously done a lot. So a few things that I wanted to say, and you've probably picked up on most of them anyway, but so the loose lead walking, wherever they went, so they were walking down by a beach. So they're walking, so that foreshore, there's a beach on the other side. That's how it is in the UK. They tend to be separated. So walking down that foreshore, there's a beach on the other side, and the dog is still walking at loose lead and not expecting a free run or anything down there. So that is something that we definitely want to maintain. They also there was a picture of them walking through the countryside in a country lane with no pavements on either side. Again, the dog just was walking calmly on a loose lead. And again, that's what our expectation would be of our puppies, that they don't kind of get out and they're walking through a park or something, or walking on a pathway, and they're like, oh, I want to sniff over there, I want to go and do this, I want to go. It's like, no, wherever I'm walking, I just walk on a loose lead. Right at the beginning, the lady talked about puppy proofing, and to talking about but putting away some chewable things and putting a stair gate on. Now the stair gate for us it's a great idea. Most houses in Australia don't have stairs, but if you do have stairs, the stair gate is a great idea. But then you can teach stairs as individual items, so you can You can teach going up and down stairs. That's definitely a skill. We've spoken about it before, where the ideal kind of end goal is that the dog will identify an up staircase by putting its paws on the bottom step and standing there until our clients can kind of get their balance, and then continue up, but is able to stop on every stair or just when asked, or will follow and then stop when the person stops, so that if any of our clients have poor balance, they're able to just take their time. The dog's not just anticipating going up to the top. Same issue when you get to the top, that the dog doesn't jump onto the flat surface and continue walking, that the dog will actually wait at the top of stairs so that our clients can get their balance, and then off you go. So if that's the dog's expectation, if our clients don't need balance work, then that will just diminish really quickly, because they'll put a pause, the person will just go, come on then, and then the dog will just carry on, and that skill will diminish very quickly. So it's better to have it and then have it as diminished, rather than be something that then needs teaching that is never as solid. So on the approach to a down set of stairs, again, we want the dog a really solid stand at the top before it puts its feet down onto the step. So really, really solid stand. Make a bit of a show of it, kind of faff about, try and find the handrail, try and find, the step going down with your foot, that kind of thing, so that the dog is just used to standing there while you move. Again, the dog goes gently down the stairs, stops when you stop, and then stops on the flat or on the last step, so that anticipation is that the dog is going to stop at the bottom and not continue, so that, again, our clients who have balance issues, aren't still a step behind, and the dog goes, come on then, let's off we go, and just kind of walks off. So that all comes from having the stair gate, because most English houses have at least 2 stories, if not 3. And so if you have got stairs at home, having a puppy gate is a brilliant, or a baby gate is a brilliant thing to have, because it stops dogs just running crazy and going upstairs when they're too hyper or anything and they're having a bit of a zoomies. But actually it gives you opportunity to just open that gate, do some door work with the gate. There's no problem with that either. It's just an extra kind of self-control, sit and wait scenario that you can use, same as you would do with doing threshold work with the front door, back door, doors going in and out of shops, anything like that. So that's why they mention stair gates, because most English houses have several floors. And they mention a toileting area. So we define a toileting area as the dog being on a longer lead. So if you've got, if you normally have like a 1.4 or a 1.2 meter lead that you hold halfway down, you'll have it at full stretch, and then your arm at full stretch, and you'll stand still and the dog toilets in that area. If your dogs aren't doing that at the moment, then first wee of the day when they're absolutely bursting, just get them used to it in that way. And so why guide dogs use the toileting area is because if they don't use toileting harnesses, has anybody seen a toileting harness? Christina, you probably will have. No, have they brought them in since you did it? So toileting harnesses are actually harnesses that go, oh, sorry, I got a mouthful of my own hand. They go around the waist, and they have a clip underneath the abdomen and 2 clips on the top, and you literally put a poo bag through the 2 and then bring it down underneath the tail. The tail goes through the handle of the poo bag, and then it clips underneath the abdomen, and they literally toilet into a bag, which when somebody told me, I was like, dogs are never going to do that, that's ridiculous. But actually the bit of contact around the bottom actually stimulates the dogs to toilet, and they toilet brilliantly using toileting harnesses. It's a brilliant thing, and we should probably look into getting them. But the reason that they use a toileting area for guide dog puppies is because how it used to be is you get a little 6 foot by 10 foot area, like a patio area, where you put you have a fenced area, and people with vision loss are taught to clear up in a certain way. So you open the gate, feel that square, If there's no poo there, you step into it, and then you feel the next square, step into it, and you go in a grid system until you find the dog's poo. So that's why they mentioned toileting area. Another thing that was on that video was about free running. But I'm going to try and find the video again. So just forgive me for a moment. Let's see if we can do this. I want to see it. Where is it? I'll tell you what, go into the link. Can you see what's on my screen or no?
Not yet.
Okay, cool. All right. Stop. So I'm going to go through it again, and I'll stop it and talk about it each time if that's okay. So we've already mentioned about the toileting area. So forgive me that you're going to go through it again, but I think it's worth it just to be very clear from the beginning. So let's just go through. Here we go. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yes.
Great.
Guide dogs.
Okay.
If we look out the window,
There's like this little ball of
Just going to forward it a little bit.
we've been volunteering for guide dogs for just over 3 years now. This is Elizabeth, and she's our second puppy. Our first puppy was a golden retriever called Nellie.
We're puppy raisers. It involves taking Elizabeth out, getting her used to social situations, different environments. So she comes shopping with us, we'll take her on buses, get her used to trains, getting her...
So that's the what I was talking about there about the loose lead, but also they're mentioning public transport. From a public access point of view, training dogs don't have automatic rights. But we've spoken before about going up and speaking to drivers and going, I'm just going training, I'm just going one stop. And they go, yep, sure, no problem. And if it's the trains, you can go to wherever the guards are or whatever and speak to them and say, just going one stop or two stop, whatever. And if you've asked them first, that's fine. And you can ask them to just let the guards on the train know. Because they don't really understand what the law is, if we're honest. But on the Transperth website, what it actually says is that assistance dogs have rights if they have the Department of Local Government, Sports and Cultural and Industries, if they have the DDLGC, whatever that is, registration. So if they don't have that, which ours don't because they're training dogs, they're not actually with their clients. If they don't have that, they don't have automatic right onto Transperth. So that's why you go and see guards. Okay? I've never had one say no, but I'm slightly intimidating. So it depends how nice you are. If they say no to you, take it as a compliment because you're obviously way nicer than I am.
ready so that she can go into advanced training.
Ours don't have advanced training. So how it works with guide dogs is that the puppies are puppy raised until they're about 18 months old. And then they come into the centre. During that time, during the first 18 months, they'll have had 2, if not 3 or 4 kennel breaks or house swaps, which is why we're doing house swaps, to get the dogs used to different environments so that they, all of that kind of thing. They then come in for basic training. So basic training is about 12 weeks, and they get to learn things like walking in a straight line, which I know sounds ridiculous, but when a guide dog needs to walk from one curb to the next curb along the block without kind of veering off down, down people's driveways or like going around corners or anything like that. So they go to a curb and stop, and then they're told left or right. So that's basic training, is basically straight line and sitting at curbs. Advanced training is then people like me. So I'm a guide dog mobility instructor. And so I do all the funky stuff like, walking them under buses and into lampposts and down manholes and all of that kind of stuff. So that's how guide dogs works. We don't really have that luxury because we don't have enough trainers who are able to take dogs on and train every day from your house. So that's how it would be ideally, but we don't have the funds to do that, which is why we're using yourselves as volunteers, but we also are looking at you doing quite a bit of the training, because we don't have the luxury of going, right, okay, you puppy raise, and then from about 18 months old, our trainers are going to come and see your dog every day, take it out every day, work it every day, do a whole load of advanced stuff, doing task training for the next 6 months. We just don't have the funds. So I don't mean like that like pressure onto you. What we're tending to do and what is seeming to work is that the dogs come in from you guys at about 12 to 18 months. They're then going to the client, because it's our clients that have funding. So no, it's absolutely not all about money, but also, you know, we need to do things like pay vet bills and food for the dogs and think, you know, that finance is an issue. And so we will then be giving the dogs to clients, and the clients will either then have private funding and they can pay for trainer time to come out and support them, hopefully daily, probably weekly, certainly bi-weekly or month. Bi-weekly is twice a week, isn't it? Every fortnight, or each month, depending on how much work the client is willing to do with that dog or able to do with that dog. So just to explain how our structure differs from guide dogs. Guide dogs has been running for 200 years in nearly 250 years, I think, in the UK. They are one of the richest charities in the world, or they certainly used to be. And that's why they have centres where the dogs come into kennels. There's a whole bunch of kennel staff, whole load of vet staff, whole load of trainers, and the dogs just go out. We go out 5 at a time, and the dogs we 5 dogs in a van, off you pop, you work them all day, and then you come back again. So they're all worked one at a time. So that's how it differs. So that's why we're wanting to give you guys as much support as possible, so that we can get the dogs to the standard that we really want them, knowing those basics, like solid basics. So crate training, not a question. Dog will go in and go to sleep. Walking on a loose lead, dog will walk past dogs, cats, birds, all of the things. Fine in traffic, fine on trains and buses, fine walking by the beach, fine walking wherever, going to the cinema, going to the theatre, going to the shops, going to a supermarket when there's banging doors. That's why we keep going on about all of this stuff, because we don't have the luxury of having the dogs come from you and going and living with a trainer. So my house used to be in Liverpool even before WAATDogs started. But when I was over here and training as guide dogs, I would have 4 or 5 guiding dogs living with me at home, and I would be working with them continually. And we just don't have that luxury over there, because we're a new charity. We've been going for 5 years. We certainly haven't been going for 200. So that's why we're looking for the consistency and why we're doing what we're doing just now.
So when we first get a puppy and bring a puppy home, it's mostly just getting them settled, getting them used to the home environment, getting the cats used to the puppy being around. We basically spend pretty much all the time with them. When they're sleeping, we'll put them in their crate so they get used to where they're going to be sleeping.
Best snoring.
When we take Elizabeth into town or into a supermarket, she would wear her puppy coat with the guide dog sign on it, and she would also wear a flash on her lead to show that she...
So we do have some flashes, or we are getting some flashes, but obviously ours just wear the jackets. The other thing that I would say is for ours, when they were there just looking at the shelving, ours would normally tuck in front or stand behind. So it's a specific trained behavior. You don't need that with a guiding dog. The guiding dog needs to stay on the left-hand side and literally mirror whatever the handler is doing. So that's why that dog was stood to the person's left. Whereas ours, you would have the dog stand calmly to the left and then indicate if you want them to stand in front of you so that the tail is out of the way, or whether you want them to lie down in front of you, or whether you want them to come behind you and stand and do a body block behind. So those three things, actually, the lie down in front, you'd never do a lie down behind because tails get trampled on. But the lying down in front, the stand in front, or the stand behind, they are specific things that are really helpful for our clients. So some of our clients that have trauma really want, especially when their focus is on the shelving in front of them, they really want to feel that dog's pressure behind them, either leaning against their knees or just knowing that the backs of their knees, or just knowing that the dogs are actually behind them, and just creating a safe space for them so nobody can just walk up behind. And the one of being in front is just a safety thing. So when you're looking at shelving, great, praise the dog for being on the left. All right, come to front. So you can do it as a touch. So you can just do touch and stand. And you can place that touch. So the touch can be just literally in front of you, touch, great, and now do a set stand. So teaching that stand is having the dog stand in front of you, take a pace back, come back, reward, 2 paces, reward, go off in a different direction, reward. You know how that goes, right? So teaching that solid stand.
He's a guide dog in training.
Elizabeth's favourite thing to do is to free run, so letting her off the lead and letting her interact with other dogs, and it's good for training because it means we can get her to recall and stuff with distractions, which she's really good at.
So, my pet peeve. So, the other dog that you saw there, the Black Labrador, is also a guide dog in training. So, you notice as well that their behaviours, what they didn't film was the dog pulling on a lead to a grassed area, being really hyper, being let off the lead, and then free running and going crazy. And if guide dogs wanted to show that, because quite a lot of organisations will show that, because it's like, look, aren't our dogs really happy? The reason that that's not on that video is because that isn't what guiding dogs do, and assistance dogs, in my view, shouldn't do, right? So I don't mind at all dogs walking calmly to a grassed area, being put on a long lead and parallel walked for a little while with another dog that they know or whatever, practicing recall, all of those things, and then being taken off the lead once all the initial energy has gone and they can have a little hi, how are you doing? Pop back on the lead after, 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, and then back we go, under some kind of control. That is totally different and creates a completely different expectation for our dogs. I think I was talking to somebody the other day, I think it may have been you, Karina, and you were saying that you turned up and there was an expectation because you turned up and you met a dog that your dog knew, that Moose knew Buttons, and so they were both like, oh cool, this is when we get to meet, we get to say hi, and it's amazing, which is brilliant, right? So I don't mind at all, sit and wait, a quick go say hi, and they go and they literally go, hi mate, how you doing? And then they come back to control. That's fine. In the same way as if I was meeting you, Karina, at Hillary's, we'd be like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? And giving you a big hug. I see it as the same thing. The dogs need to say hi, but we also sort of said that actually if the expectation was that each time Moose met Buttons, they were able to go a bit crackers, then you would never get it to the point where they can just go up, have a bit of a nose boop and say a hi, and then come back to control. So that's what we were saying to everybody really, is around free running. I don't mind dogs free running. I don't mind our dogs being off lead, going absolutely mental on their own. That's completely okay. Playing with you. The one thing they were doing there, they were using the closed fist as the symbol for recall. The reason that's out to the side is because we've had a lot of guide dogs that have basically, they haven't got brakes and they come bowling into people's knees, and have taken people out a few times. In fact, when I was a GDMI, there was one of our instructors who got absolutely flattened during class when he was training. We took the dogs and then we were running them 2 at a time, and 2 of them just came and took his legs and snapped his legs, and we had to leave him. We had to leave him lying on the field while we took the clients back and the dogs back, and phoned for an ambulance, and he was in a mess for a good long while. So that's why the hand is out to the side. I haven't thought about how that is for ours, because most of our clients, well, we don't train dogs for vision loss, because quite frankly, guide dogs and seeing eye dogs, they do it better for cheaper. So that's completely, why would you not use those organizations? Because that's what their specialty is. And so we tend to have the dogs coming and either presenting it in front, or coming, doing a circle around and sitting to the side and getting a reward. The safer version is definitely the around and sitting on, coming back to your left hand side and being rewarded there. So I think if we're aiming for that, then that is good. But that's why, as you saw in the video, they had the closed fist and it was out to the side and the dog was coming and making contact. So it's not like the dog is coming and they give a treat, because the person can't see. The dog has to make contact, which is why they've got the fist like that. So the dog actually comes and snurtles properly for a treat, and then they reward, because they have to check it's their dog as well, right? If you're running 2 or 3 guide dogs at a time, you have to check it's actually your dog. So they have different bumps on the collars. Sometimes they have falconry bells on the collars as well, if somebody's total, so they know where the dog is at all times as well. I did have a guide dog who had learnt wore falconry bells, but we couldn't understand how the dog was just getting fatter and fatter and the cat was getting thinner and thinner, until I went round and did a visit, and the dog was actually, it had learned that if it lay on the floor, the bells were silent, and then it was kind of like pulling itself along to where the cat food was, and then kind of coming back again into the living room, and then standing up and being like, what, I've been here all along, listen, can't you hear me? So yeah, they're bloody clever things. Play.
So we've been teaching Elizabeth the bucket game, which basically involves a little bucket with lots of kibble and treats in, and each time she looks at the bucket, we'll give her a treat. This is to help with cooperative care, so that eventually when she does go to the vet, she'll hopefully be settled in that environment, with them being able to do an examination on her, with her being comfortable and happy.
Okie dokie. So obviously we do cooperative care. We tend to use the head lean, and the dog either doing an elongated touch, where the dog will touch and will continue to make contact with the hand. That is the same as the bucket game. So the reason I think for the bucket game rather than a touch is so that the person can be away from the dog, and it still is a thing for the vet. It's like an indicator. We could use a post-it note or something like that. I hadn't thought of using like a third party thing, because we tend to use the touch. What I did like there is that she's using the bucket game, and you can, again, like I said, you could use a post-it note or any other marker, or look at a certain point on the wall, or whatever it could be, whatever it is, to put the jacket on. And I like that that's a positive association with the jacket going on. When puppy jackets first became a thing, I was still an instructor at the time, and we were having all sorts of problems getting dogs to put their heads through the harness, like the final guiding harness, because puppy raisers were essentially like wrangling the puppies and like launching the jackets on them and all that kind of thing. So this is a great progression now, that the dog's like, cool, I look at this, you do something with my body, and that just happens to be putting a jacket on or whatever, and it's a really positive experience. When the dog was on the floor, what she's doing is she's stroking the paws, stroking the dog's back. You can then transfer that, go and do the happy visits we've talked about at the vets, where you just go and you can do the head lean, or you can do a marker point, or whatever it is that you want to use. I like the head lean because, and then having it transferred to other people, and then you can tell the vet nurse that that's what it is. So you can practice on a happy visit that the vet nurse holds their hand out and the dog will do a head lean on that, while somebody else is just kind of messing around with the dog a little bit and making sure that the dog's happy. So the dog's happy doing a head lean because it knows it's going to get fed, and then anybody can do that. And they can take the dog out the back to the exam rooms or to, you know, wherever they go through and do surgery. So we can do happy visits like that before the dogs are going to be spayed or neutered, to go through and again just play the same game, you know, that thing of teacher behavior and then develop distraction and duration as you go through, an environment as you go through. And so you can just ask them, and most vets will work really closely because they don't want to distress the dogs, so they'll work really closely, so they don't mind at all taking the dogs through to the surgery areas, doing the head lean, you know, picking up paws, things like that. You can even take the, you know, the dry spaghetti we were talking about, where you take the dry spaghetti and the clippers, the claw clippers. So you would just have them just hold the foot, clip some spaghetti, because it makes the same noise but doesn't hurt the dog, obviously, because the dog is not made of spaghetti. And so you clip the spaghetti, so the dog's like, cool, this doesn't hurt at all when I'm here and I don't even feel the clippers on my feet. Somebody's just holding my foot. And then that becomes a really positive experience as well. So I really like that example of cooperative care and how they're doing it. And the next stage of development definitely is including the vets and just taking it kind of next level. Has anybody got any questions so far? Are we good? We're good. So if there's anything as you come in, as we're going through, like just shout out and stuff as well. Okay.
I'm a nurse, so I work a few days a week, working shifts, nights, weekends, occasional day shifts.
And I'm a sales manager, so I work from home, so it's perfect for Elizabeth or any puppy that we have. It's difficult sometimes if Kirsty might be away on a long shift, but it is only a couple of days a week, but there's always someone at home with Elizabeth.
So obviously we do that a little bit differently in that, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, we like the dogs to be on their own for a little period of time. Like they said, up to sort of 3 hours is okay. If it's occasional, like Christina, when you were going away and it was going to be a little bit longer, I actually don't mind if it's a little bit longer than that occasionally. So if it gets up to 4 hours, but it's like, you know, once a month at the most or something, I don't mind, because I think the dogs have to get used to different ways of lifestyle. I think our dogs go to such a wide variety of people, and at this stage we don't know who any of the dogs are going to. They're earmarked for a few people, but we don't have any kind of fixed homes, and so we have to it may not be that the people are actually, the clients are going to be out of the house for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, but it might be actually that during the day they need to go to bed and lie down for 3, 4 or 5 hours. You know what I mean? So if they've had a really busy morning and they've been out and about and have been very overwhelmed, it is likely that they will come home and they will sleep, and they need to know that the dogs are okay and that the dogs are not going to get distressed. Not because it's going to be a regular thing, because obviously if somebody's regularly just out for the count for hours on end, they're not the people who we would be giving a dog to. But just from that, the ability and the safety for our dogs, you know, while they're in a familiar environment and while they're growing up, it is okay, in my view, that occasionally they are left for longer so that they're not distressed if that has to happen for whatever reason.
The most important thing is that you're not leaving your puppy for long periods of time, so up to 3 hours is fine. So before we get our puppy from guide dogs, we try and puppy proof our home, so little things, putting a stair gate on the bottom of the stairs, getting a toileting area ready for them. So Jo, our puppy development advisor, might come round if we're worried or concerned about anything, and she'll help us to overcome anything that we're worried about. Or
she's brilliant, isn't she? She makes us feel at ease every single time with the puppy, and always knows exactly what to do, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I want to clone Jo and I wanted to send it to WA. So we don't have one of those. We've got me and we've got Alice and the other trainers who are around and helping, but we don't have one person who specialises in sort of coordinating and raising our puppies in that way. So obviously we've got the trainers who are around and who hopefully are working with you and who are coming and visiting you. So if there are any questions, you can ask the trainer who you're working with, but also you can just send me messages. And I get that it's a pain in the butt, and I get that I'm terrible at admin. But if there is an issue, then I'm trying really hard to get back to people very quickly, or as quickly as I can do. And that's why I'm trying to do these weekly, so that there is somebody there for you. If you see an issue is developing, or you hear us talking about something and you're like, actually, I don't know how to do a stand behind, like, how do I actually do that? The dog is actually pulling on a lead when we go past other dogs, or when we see a cat, or there's lots of birds around. Like, what do I actually do about that? Please know that these are really, really safe spaces where you can bring that stuff without judgment, and where you can bring that stuff, because if you're going through it now, somebody else is probably going to sit there quite smug and going, oh, well, I've never had that problem. Yeah, well, stand by, because in a few weeks it'll be you, right? Because that's just how puppy raising goes. So I get that it's not ideal. And if I could be, I would be over there and I would be seeing you all, we'd be running the classes and everything. Sarah, can I just ask you, where are you up to with the dog distraction classes? They're coming up sometime soon. Do you have a date or anything yet, or are we still to sort?
No, we haven't discussed it any further.
Cool.
Okay, I'm prepared to. Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. So what we're going to do, I've been talking to Sarah about running specific dog distraction classes. So they're going to be in a high dog area, which is probably going to be, it's like one of my favorite areas to work dogs, so that's why I chose it. And it's kind of central, maybe. The Trig Beach and the walk to Scarborough, because there's big car parks you can use. So if dogs are very distracted, they can be in the middle of the car park, miles away from the dogs, and working there. As you walk that area, I think, Karina, you've used that area as well, haven't you? As you walk that area, most of the dogs on that walk are used to being kind of beasted each morning and just like, right, we walk and we walk past. And so they're really good at walking past other dogs without interaction, because that's what they're used to. And so that's something that we've been talking about and developing with Sarah. So that'll be over in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, or so. So just keep an eye out. And even if it means a bit of travel, I would absolutely love if you can get to those classes. That would be great. Also, obviously, Alice is running sniffer classes. They'd be great for our dogs as well, in that, it doesn't have to be just medical alert. It's something that we can use. We can teach searching for keys. We can teach, go and find my wallet. We can teach that stuff, but it's actually just stuff to get the puppies thinking and working. And then we've got more avenues to diversify their skills. And they're also really good tricks that, the client can use to just keep their dogs motivated, even if they can't get out of the house. So some of our clients have got health conditions that mean that they can't get out every day. Well, fine, if they can go and hide, a little vial with clove oil in or something somewhere in the house, and just get the dog searching for it and doing some stuff in the house. Brilliant. That's going to be great. It's going to really switch the dog on. It's going to give them some real mental focus whilst the client is unable to go out. So if it's stuff that we introduce in a really positive way, then all's the better. So I know that Joe, who is the puppy raising development coordinator, or whatever they're called over there, they have, guide dog puppy raisers, they have to go to a class once a week, and they also have to have a home visit every 3 or 4 weeks, and that's just part of their contract. And so we've been a little bit more lenient, but also that is our ideal, that you would be going to a class, whether it's with Richard up north, whether it's with Sarah at Trig, whether it's with Alice and her ones at Curtin on a Friday where she's doing the public access work, or whether it's a scent class. But generally, where there will be those classes, which is just working on, no matter what else is going on, it's working on loose lead, dog distraction, being calm in lots of different environments, some public access things, walking past other dogs, walking past birds, cats, walking down by the beach, going for a coffee and sitting. Those things are so vital for us, and the dogs just have to be so you know, there is just no discussion about it. There's a dog, I look at you, I get a biscuit, great. Which develops to, there's a dog, I get a you know, a scritch on the bum, great. Or just like, hey, there's a dog, I just carry on walking and then I get a scritch when we go past them. You know, that kind of stuff where it's just not negotiable. The dogs are just, they just know that they know that they know that they walk on a whenever they're on a short lead, it's a loose lead, whether they're in jacket or off, you know, all of those things. So that's why I keep banging on about it every week. So I know it's really tedious, but it's also absolutely will save lives in ways that you have no idea yet. So, sorry, I'm waffling.
Saying goodbye is, without doubt, the hardest part of puppy raising. We almost train our brains. We know from the day one that we get them that we're doing a good job, and she'll go on to be a life changer for somebody, won't she?
Yeah, it's sad because they do become part of your life, but you know that they're going on to do a good thing, and that's why we do it.
So it definitely makes it worthwhile.
And then you get another puppy and then it makes you feel a little bit better. I think
so that's one of the reasons as well that we do the dog swaps with you guys, because we get that actually, I mean, I can't even imagine really having a dog for 18 months to 2 years and then having to give that dog back and it's lived with you the whole time, other than a week here or there in kennels. Is really hard. It's really hard anyway. And the reason it's really hard is because actually you're all beautiful people and you do the job that you do because you love it and because you are so connected to the dogs. That's why you're good at what you're doing, is because you're passionate about the dogs and you're really connecting with the dogs. So I just wanted to acknowledge at that point that actually I really get it, and I get that it's really hard, and to say thank you, because yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing that you're doing. So anyway, back to it.
I think the best thing about being a puppy raiser is knowing that you're helping to change someone's life and that the dog that you're raising is going to do something amazing for someone.
The fact that they're life-changing for somebody means everything to us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You really do love them, don't you?
Yeah. And you take them everywhere. They literally are with you pretty much all the time.
Which is...
I'm just going to stop it for some practical stuff because they're being all kind of emotional and everything, but practically, oh, bloody hell. Blah. So, see, it's not just you guys that get emotional when the dogs change and stuff anyway. So, just to be really practical for a moment, so they were stood there then just looking out to sea and they had the dog. Again, that would be a moment that you have the dog coming in front of you and standing in front of you like you do at the shopping shelves, and when they were sitting on the wall and the dog was kind of sat with their head towards them, actually that's quite dangerous, you know, trip hazard, and the dog's tail's out. So that would be one where you do like the under, like you do with the chairs, or when you're sitting in a coffee shop and you do the under, you would do the under. So even though you're sitting on a wall, you do the under so the dog lies down like underneath where your feet are. So just to kind of go back to, you know, to practical dogs training things, because if anyone's going to get emotional, it'd be me. So
it's great, which is why we want to do it as well, isn't it?
They do
So
become a massive part of your life. So
from once they finish their full-time training is they become a guide dog, and that really is our probably most proud moment. And we get a little picture sent through to us with her in her harness. Unbelievably proud, really, aren't we?
I feel so proud. It's nice to know that we've done something that's helping someone and she's changing someone's life, and yeah, it makes me emotional.
I think everyone should do it.
It's probably one of the best things we've done.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend puppy raising.
Oh, absolutely. No, puppy raising is definitely the best thing we've done, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so rewarding. It is challenging at times, but there's so much support around. So, yeah, definitely do it.
okay, and hold on, let me just get back to you guys. There we go. So so my hope is that at the end of your time with your dogs that you feel the same, that you feel, you know, proud with your achievements, and that you feel that you do want to do it again, because if you don't, then we've done something very, very wrong. But also, I just wanted to go through that just to talk about the difference, and just to kind of highlight some of the things that I think we as trainers sometimes take for granted. Like, of course you would do like a stop in front. Well, actually, I don't know. Have I ever told you about doing the stop in, the stand in front, or the stand behind, or what to do on steps, or wherever we're up to? So has anything come up for anybody on that, about, you know, either a training thing, or you know, what happens when things do finish, or when do you get a next dog, or anything like that? Is there any questions that have come up from it?
Just from the point of view of having seeing eye dog puppies and assistance dog puppies, that once you've done your once I'd done my puppy raising, they then went interstate, so
Yes.
you lose all contact with them. I think the thing for me would be, these pups are going to stay, as far as I know, they'll be staying in Perth.
Yep.
And then I guess the appropriate behaviour if you happen to see them, or the dogs happen to see you.
That's great. That's a great question. I'd not even thought of that. That's fabulous. Yeah. So, I mean, there is no way on God's green earth that if you go, if you have the dog for 12 months and then you see them walking down the street with somebody else, that they're not going to want to come and greet you. But my hope is that actually we will have developed such a relationship with yourselves, and you will know who the client is, because it's for our benefit as well that the client has somebody who they can talk to and get support from, away from it being us. Quite a lot of our clients, because they've got stuff, maybe they don't like figures of authority, not that I try and be authoritarian, but you know, like organizations and things like that, there's quite a lot of sort of stigma around phoning and going, hey, I might need a bit of help with this or whatever. And I think that it's really good to have a relationship with you guys, because they may be going on holiday and not want to take the dog with them because they're going internationally. They don't want to stress the dog out through that. Or they may need a training break, like we're having sort of fairly soon, but they actually might need a bit of a break if they're getting overwhelmed with having the dog and things like that. In which case, it's up to you guys. If you want to be, you can be the first port of call where they go, hey, can you have the dog for the weekend, or can you do whatever? So that kind of thing. I think it's going to be a very unlikely situation where you're going to be walking down the street and you don't know that your dog is around. Do you know what I mean? You'll know, because you'll have a relationship with them, and actually you're probably both in the same area because you can meet up with them for coffee or whatever. So we've got clients as far north as Karratha so far, and as far down south as Albany. We've also got a couple of clients around kind of the Nannup area. And so they may be going a bit further afield, but generally they won't, you know, I mean, WAATDogs is, you know, it's WAADogs for WA people. That's who we are. They won't be getting shipped, you know, overboard or overseas, or out of state or anything like that. That's our hope. So yeah, but I think dealing with, you know, if you do happen to meet your client, because you will already have a relationship with them, if you do happen to see them out and about, it will be up to you to, you know, make yourself known to the client, but also to have taught an appropriate behaviour, because in theory, it should be just the same as the dog meeting anybody else who you know. So like meeting friends of yours that come to your house or anything like that. We spoke, I think, a couple of weeks ago about doing a stand and wait, and then maybe even just using the touch as go and do a quick hi and come back again. But doing that sort of that behaviour, and again, maybe Sarah, Alice, or whoever, you know, you can be doing you can be doing that as part of a class where you kind of swap dogs. You do sits and weights, you do walking around and you figure of eights and you go around your circle, and then you go, okay, go say hi to the person that is their person. Okay, cool, now come back, so it can be a trained behavior in that way. But that's a brilliant thing. I'd not even thought about the fact that actually, your dog might get placed with somebody who uses the same shopping centre as you or whatever, just because of who is available and which dog is suitable for which. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. That's wonderful.
That's all right. I mean, it's sort of I guess saying goodbye to the dog wasn't a difficult thing because I knew what it was going to do, but then losing all touch and
Yeah.
anything at all about the dog once it was placed with its forever partner.
Yeah.
I think one or two of the group we had here, they have been in contact with the person their puppy has gone to, but in the main, just all
Yeah.
contact is just cut
Yeah.
off.
And I think that is
I
it's
think
more of an
that's
organizational point. I mean, I know that we
yeah,
used to have a thing over here where the new guide dog owner, we made a strong request that they phone the puppy raiser and said, hey, how you doing? And give a little bit of a chat. But actually, there's quite a lot of owners who felt that was inappropriate. It's like, well, no, it's my dog now, kind of thing.
yeah,
This is my eyes. It's not anything. And you get kind of quite you get a couple of different brackets, I think, of guide dog owners. People who've been had vision loss all of their lives, very often I think are like, no, this is a mobility aid. I just need a dog. Do you know what I mean? That's a very sweeping statement. And some of the clients are absolutely lush. But people who maybe they've gone through their life sighted and then they get the dogs at the end, they're more likely to make contact, because it's more of it's an additional thing rather than a necessary piece of equipment. Do you understand what I
yeah.
mean?
Well,
But yeah, so look, I mean, my view, we need you. We don't have a massive tranche of boarders who can support our owners and stuff, our clients and things. So we need you guys to have a relationship with them anyway. So we're going to foster that as much as we can foster. So because we're going to need you. So yeah, they, for training breaks and things, and just general, I think, because we do have a large percentage of clients who they have issues that may mean that they're not particularly social, or they may
yeah,
not get out a lot. If you want to be involved in that and they want you to be involved in that, then meeting up for a coffee is a nice way to get them out and about if that's what they want or need, but also you to sort of see the dog. I guess the underlying thing is that you hold that boundary. This is now an assistance dog that is working for somebody else. It is somebody else's dog. And whilst they may free the dog to say a quick hi to you initially, and of course the dog's going to be excited at seeing you for the first time, you literally just kind of stand back, give a little bit of contact, then stand back and just ignore the dog. And then at the end, maybe when you're going and the dog's about to go in the car, jumps in the car, harness, jacket comes off, that's the end of it, and then you can give kisses and cuddles once the dog has behaved throughout the whole thing, because to not get those kisses and cuddles from you would be weird, right, for the dog, because it's lived with you for however long. But I feel like it's almost as a reward for having behaved throughout the visit. So does that make sense?
it
Yeah.
does. It does.
Yeah, so you can say a quick hi at the beginning, and then the dog will be like, oh, cool, you're sticking around. Well, I know when I go for a coffee with you, I just lie down at your feet. That's fine. So the dog may be lying down at the person's feet under the table, but actually they're still at your feet. So it's kind of feels the same, So,
Yeah.
all right. Is there anything else from it, my loves?
Just Kate, are we going to get sort of like or the puppy raiser is going to get like a glossary of terminologies, like cues, basically?
That would be very good, wouldn't it? Yeah. So in
So
theory,
we're all
yes.
on. Yep.
In theory, yes. and I just got to write one, really. So there is a handbook which has been written, which I'm still to send out to a few people. I just need to go through and just do a few little amendments and stuff, but that is going to get sent out. And then, Sarah, if you want a copy, and Karina, you've probably got a copy already, hey? Yeah, a glossary of terms. I'm going to make a note of it. I'm going to add it to my to-do list, which currently is 5.5 pages of A4.
I mean, I haven't been too concerned about it to date because, I mean, you can always do a queue transfer sort of thing, but I think it would be easier, I guess, if everybody sort of at least had words that sounded similar.
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. I think the big thing for me is I've heard a couple of people, when people have been sending me videos, I've heard a couple of people using the dog's name first for everything. So, we'll say Jack. So it's like Jack sit, Jack down, Jack lie down, Jack come here, Jack do it. And it's just the dog's got to kind of listen to the end of a word rather than the beginning. So the big thing for me is there's no names for anything unless the dog is already coming towards you and you happen to want to recall the dog's name.
As long as they're not using off to get off the couch for Jack.
Yeah, just everything, right? Just yeah. And my sister's actually the worst. She uses the name, she had a chocolate Labrador called Charlie, and this poor little chuffer, like how it actually learned anything, I've got no idea, because it was like, Charlie sit, Charlie come, Charlie down, Charlie down. It's like, it just sounds the same, Jane. Like, it's no wonder the bloody thing doesn't know what you wanting. So, yeah, sit. So I use down instead of drop, and it just... I would like that to be uniform, mainly because I can't remember anything else. So sit, down, wait is a temporary. So it's sit and wait, and then you can walk off and come back, and then you're going to get the dog and go off. Whereas down is a permanent it's a stay rather until told differently. So a stay would be in a coffee shop, so presumably, or wherever, but wherever you are, it's a stay and it's permanent, and you can get up and walk off and go and, get your salt and pepper or whatever and come back, or go and grab some milk or whatever it is and come back, and the dog's just like, it knows that it's staying there. And so I will write down a glossary of terms, and I'll just put it on Facebook, I think. Maybe Sarah, if you can give me a shout, and Alice and Karina as well, as to, or whoever else is on here actually. Oh, Tamara, anybody, just send me things and you go, what are we calling this behavior? Then that will remind me to go, right, okay, actually we're going to call it this now. All right. So if you can have a think about those things, that would be great, and send me a message. Okay. Thank you, because this has been way longer than I thought it was going to be. As usual, I need to stop talking. And so I'm going to go. But if there's anything else, let me know. This one will be repeated on Wednesday. It'll invariably be considerably different, but you're welcome to join, or you can just have a life and go and do whatever else you want to do. And I will speak to you next week. As you may have gathered by the fact that I got really emotional halfway through that video, I cannot thank you enough for everything that you're doing. And I know that I say it fairly often, but I can't say it often enough. You are impacting people's lives in ways that you cannot imagine. And as somebody who has spent the last few years going out and seeing people in horrific states, that our dogs have then brought them out of that, going and meeting clients in, on psych wards, and they've just been committed because they've been self-harming for so long, and they now don't have any more space on their body, basically, and all of this kind of thing, to being then the person who I'm thinking of, and they're now in full-time education and doing the degree that they've always wanted to do, and they've got an exhibition of their artwork, and they've got their children back, and they've got and that's because of a bloody chocolate Labrador. So it may seem like all of this stuff is not life-changing. It may seem like it's just a thing that you're doing, but you are changing lives, and I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going now, and I love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.